Some Medicare penalties can last a lifetime, but many people don't realize that some of them can actually be challenged. If you think you were charged unfairly, this video could save you hundreds, if not thousands. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, what are Medicare late enrollment penalties? So some penalties can last a lifetime. It's a very common fear that we get questions about all the time. So what are they? First and foremost, Part A penalty. Most people do not face a Part A penalty. It only applies if you don't qualify for premium-free Part A. And so the way that it works is, as long as you worked 40 quarters or you have a spouse that worked 40 quarters, which is 10 years total, you can get Part A at no cost for the remainder of your life. Now, if you didn't work your 40 quarters, I've worked with clients before that maybe had 38 and a half quarters. And while you don't want to tell them what to do, working another quarter and a half is going to save them a bundle of money over the years. So this penalty lasts a limited number of years, It's twice the number of years that you delayed enrollment and did not have creditable employer coverage. But for those who do get the penalty, it can be expensive. Now on to Part B. This is the more common question that we get. Since Part A is generally no cost, more people ask us about Part B. So what triggers the penalty for Part B? You may pay a penalty for Part B if you delay enrolling Part B after becoming eligible to enroll. This is the important part, without having creditable employer coverage. So what's considered creditable employer coverage? For example, if you're still actively working or your spouse is and you have health insurance through that employer, most employer plans are creditable, but you do need to ask your benefits or HR department about that. But a couple of examples of things that are worth looking at. COBRA is not considered creditable for Part B. And there are some retiree plans that maybe wouldn't fall into this, but just go ahead and ask someone and check those out. So what is the penalty? So basically it's if you don't take Part B at 65 and you don't have something else to kind of hold you over. So what is the penalty? The penalty is calculated as 10% for every 12 months that you went without Part B. So for example, if you delayed Medicare by 1 year, 12 full months, and you did not have creditable coverage instead, you would be paying this 10% penalty. So it's 10% based on the standard Part B premium at the time. So in 2026, that standard Part B premium is $202.90. So 10% of that is $20.29. Now, what's important to note is that is extra per month, and it's going to be added to your Part B premium for the remainder of your life. So the yearly cost, if you just delayed it by 1 year right now, it would be $243.48. Okay, so that's 1 year. Now let's talk about if you delay your Medicare Part A and Part B by 3 years, what happens? So 36 months. So you would pay that 10% times 3, you'd pay a 30% penalty because it's 3 years. So 30% of $202.90 is $60.87 extra per month, or $730.44 per year. And you have to keep in mind, you're going to pay that penalty for the remainder of your life. There's a few exceptions. We'll put them in the comments below, but in general, that penalty is every month for the rest of your life. In addition to Part A and Part B, I was jumping ahead, there's a Part D penalty. So the way that this works is if you don't have what's known as creditable coverage, like with Part B, but on the D drug side, you'll pay a penalty as well. So this penalty is less. It's 1% of the national base premium. So the average Part D plan, essentially, for each month you went without creditable drug coverage. So for example, in 2026, that base premium is $38.99. 1% of that for the number of uncovered months. So they're going to round it to the nearest 10 cents, but that penalty is added to your Part D premium every month for the rest of your life, or as long as you have Part D coverage. So let's go through an example for that one too. And obviously these dollars are far less significant than the Part B penalties, but it's worth noting and it's worth being aware of this. So 1% times 12 for 12 months, if you went 12 months without drug coverage, is a 12% penalty. 12% of $38.99 is $4.68. They're going to round that to $4.70 per month, or each year it's $56.40. So they're going to add that to your premium moving forward. So, the 24 months without drug coverage, let's just say this went on for 2 years, you're going to double that. So $9.40 a month for the rest of your life, or essentially $112.80 annually. So, why do these penalties exist? Why are we doing this? Really, they want to encourage people not just to wait to join Medicare. I've been healthy and all of a sudden I'm sick now and now I'm going to get Medicare. And it's trying to essentially keep the program costs stable. If you were healthy for a period of time, you paid in, and now if you're sick, you're essentially getting the benefits of when you paid before. It's kind of the definition of insurance. It's not meant to punish, but more to avoid adverse selection when we really look at it. So the question that we get a lot is, can penalties be waived or appealed? They can be reconsidered. Medicare does not automatically waive penalties, and the approval depends on the facts and the documentation. So, the penalty waiver through good cause, these are kind of the things that are worth noting. So these are evaluated case by case, and the documentation is essential. So what Medicare kind of considers a valid reason is, you were misinformed by a federal employee, you received incorrect written information regarding the enrollment, your employer provided inaccurate information about the creditable coverage, or you tried to enroll on time, but there was some type of administrative error or issue. In addition to that, these 4 fall into this as well. Unexpected life events that might affect this. Some things, they don't automatically erase the penalties, but they may strengthen that good cause waiver or appeal. Some major health issues, if you were in the hospital for a long time and didn't get around to applying, serious illness, whether there was some disability or cognitive decline, a lot of these could play into it. Some personal disruptions, if you got divorced, if a spouse died, if you were moving or relocating, if you lost some of your income or insurance because of a situation with your spouse, or frankly, we see a lot of natural disaster situations, fires, floods, hurricanes. There's always some Medicare exceptions if that impacts you in the area that you live. And then last, I mentioned this earlier, administrative or employer issues. So if your employer failed to notify you about the loss of creditable coverage, if maybe 1 year your plan through your employer was creditable and the next year they didn't tell you that it no longer was, if HR provided the wrong Medicare information, COBRA was misunderstood as credible coverage, and retirement paperwork was potentially processed late. Now, it's important to note before I go through how you take care of this, that none of these are guaranteed allowances for appeals, but it might be worthwhile just to go ahead and submit an appeal for consideration. They usually won't approve an appeal for COBRA misunderstanding, but it doesn't hurt to just go ahead and try. So what do you do for the appeal? The steps. Number 1, wait for your notice or letter about your penalty. After enrolling late, you'll receive the letter. Part B will come from Social Security, and Part D will come from your Part D drug plan. And the letter will explain, why you were charged a penalty, how it was calculated, what is your right to appeal. And you can't appeal until you receive this official notice. So just go ahead and wait till you get that. All right, step 2 is file a reconsideration request. This is an official appeal. So, your Part B penalty appeal, you must submit the form SSA 561-U2, which is the request for reconsideration, or follow the instructions in that penalty letter I mentioned in step 1. They may specify a different form. Go ahead and just follow those instructions. You may also need CMS L564, which is the request for employer information. Your employer is familiar with this form, or coverage documentation proving that you did have creditable employer insurance. Now on the Part D appeal though, your Part D plan will send instructions on how to submit a reconsideration request on this one. And this appeal is handled by an independent review entity, not Social Security. So this one's a little different. All right, step 3, provide documentation. This is crucial. Some examples of this include an employer letter stating your coverage was creditable. If for some reason they thought it was and it no longer was, that letter that says it was would be very helpful. Number 2, that form that I just mentioned, CMS L564, it's a form completed by your employer. Proof of coverage continuation, HR emails or letters that show Medicare information that you were given, if in chance that, it wasn't good information. Your Medicare card showing your enrollment dates, that's always helpful. And evidence of whether you've moved, you had a medical issue, unexpected life events. If good cause applies, it's important to prove that. So without documentation, these appeals are very rarely approved, so it's worth making sure you check this out. And step 4, wait for the decision. As I mentioned earlier, Part B appeals are processed by Social Security, and Part D appeals are reviewed by that independent review entity. The decisions are often mailed within several weeks, but I think we all know when it comes to Social Security and some of the other areas of the government, sometimes your wait can be very short, sometimes it can be very long. I liken it to passports. Sometimes they tell you passports will take you months, and sometimes you get it back within weeks. So it's important to know that simply calling is not enough on this one. Calling Social Security can really help with things like getting the correct forms, confirming your enrollment dates, understanding whether your coverage was indeed creditable, and asking clarifying questions. But you can't file this appeal over the phone. You must submit that formal written appeal with the supporting documents. So something I want you to keep in mind after this video is if you qualify for an SEP and enroll on time, penalties can often be avoided completely. It's not going to be something that you're going to have to deal with. Many people receive these penalties in error, so verify before appealing. Sometimes it's just a simple issue or error. So go ahead and, check it all out, and you don't have to handle this alone. If you have a question, if you need some help, if you're just not sure where to start with this, go ahead and give us a call. We're here and we're happy to help.